And this way, I would say we all have to move on. And this is not the end. This is just the beginning. If you look at the occupancy levels, this is just a bright perspective of where the occupancy levels are. Well, most of us, 2020, when we always do our business projections, we look at, at this stage, we will do 70 to 90% or even 100% occupancy. But just this impact has shown us how the occupancy levels are. If you look at majority of the countries, we see there are less than 20%, which hardly even any chance of surviving the business. It moves on to certain countries where they're 21 to 40% at the same stage, because obviously some parts of Europe are more advanced compared to the other parts. And then they're obviously Azerbaijan is where it's 45%. Obviously, it didn't affect as much. So when you look at occupancy levels, what does it tell us? It tells us people don't want to travel. They have restrictions. People are having self-isolations, or most of the businesses are closed. What has happened in the UK and most of the Europe is with some hotels, even myself, we were open, but obviously we're not open for regular business. We were open for supporting the government, working with the NHS, working with health and safety measures, where we were supporting this situation indirectly. And quite a few hotels did that, and they remained open. As it is quite strict. Legally, we're not allowed to have any guest of normal nature until he's a key worker or a critical worker. And when I say key or critical worker, is any company which works during this pandemic and supports the national grid, and where things have to move on. It could be even as supermarkets. It could be medical supplies. It could be the doctors and nurses. It could be engineers who are supporting businesses to remain open and taking care of technicalities. So this was the new segment. And if you see the occupancy during this stage, it's the only reason why you have this occupancy is that most of these hotels and countries are working to help the government and to overcome our situation. And as team members and as hoteliers, it's difficult because most of our people had to be generally, they have to follow, like in the UK, we have the follow system, same as America. We have in other countries where they lay off, which is without pay. So there are different measures where the hotel is not running in full capacity, but obviously a very minimum capacity, and that's where we need to have the minimum teams ahead. So the overheads are low. And it has been impacted. Obviously, you would not expect to be staying at home and under lockdown. It's not the best thing ever. But again, times as such, that does happen, and we need to accept it. But what's most important is, as management, as people in the industry, we keep in touch with our team members. We update them on a regular basis to tell them what's going on, keep them the faith, the times are going to be changing. And also, most importantly, we check on their health to make sure that they are ready and they are ready to come back when they are in good health. So the moral support is key. And during this pandemic, what is the positive aspects, the takeaways are, we become one. We forget all the indifferences. Care becomes the crucial concern of each and every one, because then you remember things are uncertain and we need to care about each other. So these are the positive aspects where we are by indirectly attracted, and we are together trying to for the same purpose, we realize. This is just to show the same what I explained earlier, the occupancy for the next until as of June 15th. And this is where the trend you see in most of the countries, right from Madrid to Edinburgh to Durban to Zurich. These are the occupancy levels and the dates, the way it changes. So market conditions during this time, you see I could divide it into three. As you said, it's likely to be more severe and takes longer to recover when you look at global financial crisis. So this is for sure impacting us big time. Apart from the occupancies and the ADR, the global financial crisis is even much more. So the short-term downturn has already been more severe, and demand seems very likely to remain depressed to the minimum term or long-term recovery, hampered by extended periods of downward pressure on ADR, is the average delegate rate for the day, and having to absorb more supply growth than post-global financial crisis. Short-term, I would say the time frame between 6 and 12 months, where the demand levels recover to 60% to 80% of the previous years, which I would say would go up to 80%. Demand well below the global financial crisis, would say the travel restrictions, that is because of that. The social distancing measures, which is key to observe and get over this pandemic. And obviously the weak consumer confidence. Nobody is confident to stay or move or travel. And that has really the ADR much lower due to change and a mix of loss of compressions. Medium term, we look at it as a time frame of 1 to 2 years. So obviously it is along the competition driven prices down. And the long term, we're looking at the time frame all for 2024, which means the demand to recover in majority of the markets to the levels of 2019 is going to be like 4 years. By 2024, demand aggregate forecast into 5% higher. It means then we're going to supersede, and that's where we get to this level of 2024. Well, the conclusions here, what we're looking at, overall, the hospitality will recover, and it is starting to recover. The lead of regional markets and leisure destinations are there. The large cities, they lag behind. Obviously, the bigger the city, the more the viruses, the more the impact, the more time to recover. And the downtime is expected to be more severe and longer than the global financial crisis. The upside may occur with closure of competitor suppliers, delay in development pipelines, and a bounce for the economy. Well, this is key now. We look at recovery because obviously this cannot be going on forever. We're looking at a recovery stage, not only emotionally, personally, but also for the industry, for the individuals like you and I, where we need to come up even much stronger. And I'm sure the time we have taken during this time, we'll realize that, yes, as long as the business picks up, the clients start to come back, the conferences, they start to give, and major businesses start to pick up, we need to recover from this. This cannot happen and cannot be let for good. You have to be spontaneous. You don't keep it to the last. You have to adjust yourself to the market, adjust yourself to the people. And where our key market before was relying on international, we have to look at more domestic, short-haul markets, people who can travel within the country. And they are your key segments. And communicate on hotels reopening. Obviously, when you have a deadline or when you have already known that these are relaxed times, you can open the hotel. It's key to communicate it through all your platforms. You need to go out, reach out to everybody and say, hey, we are open. Hey, we are safe. We are ready to welcome you back. So that months are not working together. You need to start to work together. You need to see that you're one. You need to be flexible because it's not that this is my job and that's your job. Now it's our job because the teams are going to be smaller. It's going to be more impactful. You'll have to work as a team and even more now than ever before. Savings. Everybody has to reach out to see as much they can save. Now is not the time where people will want to spend. So you'll have to definitely cut down on your expenses. You lower your spending intentions because the lower purchasing power. People spend less, the business is less. So all of us have to look where they will stay lesser. So this time, so everything is around digital rather than having that personal contact, which is so unlikely for hospitality, but that's the new norm and we have to respect that. We have to come up with some new innovative ideas and attractive offers because now clients, the regular clients they're not the same. They're looking for new trends, they're looking for new attractions. And obviously the new market segment or the new requirement and the new demand is different than what it was 3 or 4 months before. And then lastly, I would say you have to look at maximizing our existing partnerships. So whoever our past clients or our regular clients are, you need to really go back and reach out to them. You need to create new ad hoc new ones, make guests want to stay at hotels again. And that all deals with the whole scenario I just said, right from re-engaging, reassuring, to give more innovative ideas and partnerships. And that would be identified in the different stages, as we said below, going from the communication from multi-brand, using digitalization, using innovative partnerships and new thinking offers, and reinventing guest experience. So at this stage, I would like to say on a personal front, where a lot of the hotels, the teams, they work together. Like I would have people at the reception who is more welcoming, but he's no more just reception. He would also go make a coffee to a client, or he would also go and cook, for instance. So you would not imagine how teams work together. A lot of hidden talents have come out during these stages, where you would say you never imagine that my receptionist is actually a good chef than I ever imagined. So he's the one who would turn out and say, okay, I will take charge. I'll make a meal or two. The same way, I have engineers who you saw they were all technical, but they are doing phenomenally good. They will stand at the reception and welcome somebody. So I'm trying to reach here is our teams have realized the teamwork. When I say teamwork, it means together everybody achieves more. That's the abbreviation of a team. And during this crisis, and when people work together, this is what you realize, that you need to work together, you need to be flexible. You can't be rigid and say, this is my time off, this is my days off. You need to be able to contribute as one. And the same, the company works together and tries to make benefits where, as a team member, we can definitely achieve and overcome these crises. I would just re-emphasize on what I just spoke earlier. So you have to reassure customers using different criteria. It's within the hotel, across your search engine, that's in Google or search engine optimization, across all online travel agencies, across the review channels wherever we can, and obviously throughout the brand speaking, through emails and various correspondence, and of course, social media B2B. So these are how we have to digitally reach out to reassure people. What would you do? You need to reinvent the guest experience. As you see now, things have changed, but again, we have to adapt towards it. We have to provide a new guest experience using technologies to remove frictious points. Obviously, there's no contact. You need to look at where, and earlier, as I said, contactless, this is where it is. Online check-in. So this way, you have online check-in for hotels. We have mobile keys, so it means we have via Bluetooth, we send us the optimization code, and as you reach, you would just straight away go to your room and you would open your room door just by the mobile key. Online payments, which rather than having a face-to-face, you just do a pre-authorization and you will have to do online payments. And fast checkout, people don't have to interact or see, they could just come back, drop the key, or even leave the key in the room and just check out. And then afterwards, there is the soft benefit delivery. So which is, you have to look at the welcome safety protocol, obviously. So F&B digital office, which seamless, but again, it's contactless F&B payment. Also, we are using a WhatsApp business communication where we have the menus uploaded on WhatsApp, all telephones in rooms are being removed. So a guest would just reach into the account of the WhatsApp, he will pass on the message or he'll give any requirement he needs via the WhatsApp communication with the reception or the team reaches out. So that's where we are reaching at, more of digitalization. And obviously in-room activities, you need to keep people busy. As I said earlier also, we look at yoga, we look at live DJs, you look at movie nights. So these are all the benefits which you will have to give them and make them comfortable in their room, which is their confined and safe area. And as I said, this is the year of staycations. Who would imagine that international travel would be impacted so much? So now is the time where you would travel within, rediscover local. That's what I would say. Discover local is key. Even the slide which we gave earlier before the start of this, it implies that we have attractions within your state. That's where you need to focal point is. You need to get clients. You need to yourselves travel and explore and make sure that you enjoy. And this is the best way, reconnect with nature. And that nature is there in your backyard. You wouldn't realize it sometime earlier. And how would you do this? By having flexible rates, and customer can really book with confidence on that. I would actually at this stage, before we start the questions and answers, or if there's any question, I will take it, and I will be more than happy to reply. I'll have to apologize that it's been a very commercial aspect, but again, at the same time, I'm trying to connect to see commercially, as these actions have been taken, how it has impacted us as a personal, as a professional. And that's where I would like to see if you have any questions on a personal level. For sure, you might have some. I could answer on that level, how it has impacted us, how we can survive the crisis management personally and professionally. And I can only speak in general because each government, each country has its own recovery system, especially when it comes to human or when it comes to HR or jobs. So we can't really be very general, but again, it still applies to one and all. And at the end of it, it comes back to the individual country of how you cope up personally. If anybody has any questions, I would like to get it at this time. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a wonderful presentation from your end. It was very well crafted and very informative. and it was very useful for all the participants. Now I request participants, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can or you can type in chat box also. We will give you opportunity, or you can unmute yourself and ask question. Anyone have any questions, please? Hello.
Namaste, Anuradha.
Oh.
You're on mute.
Hello.
You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Miss Anuradha, you're on mute, so we can't hear you.
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
You're able to
Sorry.
hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. You are mute. Yeah.
For you, the question is again a general question,
Yes.
especially the kitchens. We are all having menus ordered through contactless using the technology. That is fine. What about the menus that we are having elaborate menus in the kitchens? And today, our kitchens are not geared up to cope up with such kind of, let us say, the ingredients or the items listed. Do you plan for a cut down in the menu? Because that would be very advisable, and it would be in the interest of the guest as well as the employer and the people who are working. When you minimize the number of items, you can concentrate, especially with this ongoing problem, and of course post-COVID, because redesigning is a must for every kitchen, not just the kitchen, but the entire hotel. So I would like your suggestions regarding reduction of menu. I mean, what impact would it have?
Well, Mrs. Anuradha, you had a question and you answered it yourself very well. But let me just touch base on how it is globally impacted. Well, long gone are the days where you have elaborate menus because it doesn't really make sense. You need to, as I just said, we need, because of the global impact, the importations or exportations is really impacted. So you will not have international ingredients, or you will not have that much reach. You will have only the basic. So when I say rediscover local, I would say all the menus have to be very organic because everybody's looking at health, everybody's looking at organic measures, and obviously health is crucial. So in most places in Europe, the menus are hardly a page or two to be maximum. Because what you need to look back is what can help you is do have a thorough look back of your menus, look at what has been selling and what percentage has it been selling. You could definitely choose 20% of that to re-emphasize on, because many of the restaurants could be themed, many of the items could be really famous. So you need to look at the popular items which really went and put in the best of the best. And this way you will have reduced team members because of the social distancing. You can't have too many people in the kitchen. At the same time, you will have to have your menus to be on that level. And also, the limited team members will be able to adapt, know their menu by heart. Gone are the days where you have 100 items on the menu, and even your waiter or the service team has no idea. Now, it has to be in such a way that your waiter, as you said, being flexible, it could be busy. Your waiter would go in and also start cooking with the chef, obviously in his own gear, and then reach out things together. So things which are simple, which would be assembled quickly, and would be prepared at most hygienic and fresh. That's what needs to be considered. And I would say, strongly consider that you would not have a menu not more than a page or two, depends on the font, where you have the best of the best, and you could have a rotation. You could have this for a week, and then you could have a next one for the next week. And you should not have printed menus, because as per the hygiene guidelines, you need to have disposable menus, which you can create in-house. And that gives you that advantage, is you go create your menus, print them in-house, and it gives you the flexibility of having limited and also changing. You could have a weekly menu change, or you could have it every fortnightly, depends on how you go. And prepare less and take, you obviously need to take bookings. It's not like a walk-in restaurant, and that's really going to be affected because you need spacing distances. So if your restaurant was a capacity of 100, you would definitely come down to a mere 50 or even 45 to have them socially distanced and safe. So in that way, you have less capacity. So there is no point you're going to have long menus. You need to keep them as fresh as possible and as short as possible. That's my strong recommendation. And it has been adapted in Europe long way compared to a lot of other countries in Asia, where they feel they have a lot to offer. But again, the consistency is not there in that way.
Madam, I hope you got the answer.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Tony, one more question is there from Mr.
Yes.
Manoj. He's asking what are the measures taken to safeguard the jobs and salaries of existing employees of the hotels in UK?
Well, as I said, it's a different scenario. It all depends on the government. Here, fortunately, the government here in the UK have come up with a furlough system. A furlough system is where all the companies are financially backed. It means even though I have or any team has 80% of the team on furlough and probably only 20% of them working, that 80% of the team gets 80% of their salaries sitting at home. So it means, unlike, unfortunately, other countries where the government cannot take such measures. Here in the UK, all my team members who have been not working during this crisis are getting up to 80%. It is a 6-month system which the government has impacted. Obviously, at some point or the other, the government will get back the money on tariffs, on fines, on taxes. But at least the importance was to act now and to make sure that people's jobs are secure, the economy is secure. It's a short term, it cannot go on for long. And that's why the government here has been praised for that action. And it's one of the most deepest and thought of process being taken by the Chancellor over here in the UK.
I hope Manoj, you got the answer. Mr. Manoj, we have one more question from Debagni. What were immediate measures taken by hotel to engage the guests and the cancellation policies followed by immediately after the spread in the UK? They're asking.
As if we should go back to my slides, the key point there was flexibility. You cannot have harsh rates, and you cannot have charge a client who is not used. You have to be mindful, and you need to connect on a personal level rather than a commercial level to get that confidence back from the clients. So definitely they should be refunds, they should be vouchers, or in a way you cannot charge a client in which they will have that bitterness of losing. So flexibility is key. You should be able to take booking and should be able to cancel booking towards the end. I know a lot of companies would not have a cash flow to refunds, but most of the companies in Europe and everywhere, they are using credit. So it means we give you that credit voucher and you could book in the next 1 year, you could use that credit voucher and come back to the hotel. So this way you have the money in the company, you're not giving it away in terms of refunds. At the same time, it helps you in your cash flow. And then you are also reassuring your customers that in 3-4 months' time, we are really going to be ready and we are looking forward to welcoming you back. So this way you've not lost the revenue on the books, but at least you reassured them that they are not losing it. And that would be the key factor in this flexibility.
Mr. Jay Shah is asking, what is your advice for students planning to join tourism and hospitality courses, considering the present scenario of a massive job cuts globally?
I would give a simile to this. All this crisis is not going to be lasting forever. Even though commercially I've said there's a lead time which can go up to 2 years to 7 years for the economy to go back. We are human beings. We are social beings. There is no way you can go to run away from hospitality. And I've been 25 years in this industry, and I would want to be another 25 years, if God willing, in this industry. I would not consider anything else. Because this is the industry where it brings people together. You are in the business of making people happy. And believe me, these jobs will always be there and it will always come back. Trust me, even though we have so much social distancing and measures, people will want to connect. We are social beings. So have faith. This industry is going to bounce back. And I would call it the ketchup effect. When you have a ketchup bottle closed and it's all compressed. And then when you literally open, and when you want to take out the ketchup, it just comes out with all its force and vigor. And I'm sure the hospitality industry will come back and bounce back in the same way. So have faith. We are in the hospitality industry of making people happy, and we are going to be happy in itself. But the key advice here for all of you is try and be flexible in your ways, because gone are the days where you would say, I can only work so many hours. Of course, you have your minimum hours. I can only work on certain days, or I can only do this job. I cannot do other jobs. You need to be flexible. You need to be an all-rounder. And especially if you have your education from the IHM or from the Institute of Hotel Management, you've been trained in all aspects, even though you may specialize in one. But now is the time where you reach out to your skills, your hidden skills, and try to contribute as a team. So if I am your employer and you are working for me, I should be able to schedule you on different shifts. If today you're on reception, tomorrow I can put you in room service, or I can put you in other departments. If you have that flexibility, you're going to be there and you're going to be more valued. And it's likewise. And that's what the company is there. The company is also going to be flexible in terms of how they work and how they remunerate. And believe me, this year, it's all about personal achievement. And I would connect that normally in a trend where you look at, it's a global cycle. So 25 years, 30 years ago, when I started my career as well, I was in the same mind. I was hunger to grow. And I worked in different departments, different industries. I traveled in different jobs. And I always said yes. I never thought for a moment when any extra assignment was there. I would always go up to my superiors and say, you've been working too hard. Give me this task. I will take it. So I learned more skills. I developed. So I would say personal advice to all of you is the cycle has come back now. Even though our generation now has got it easy, you need to really step up, be flexible, and try and do much more than what you ask for. And this is the only way you're going to succeed.
One more question from our student MBA, Ms. Bindu Chaudhary. First of all, she wants to express her heartfelt gratitude to our respected speaker, Mr. Tony sir, for his valuable inputs and all members. Her question is, previously events and conferences used to happen with large number of people. Post-COVID, what will be the changes in that aspects? Because currently most all the events are being digitalized.
It is something which is going to take a while to recover. I would not make false promises or false hopes. You need to understand that yes, social distancing is key. Even I have functions. My last in London, when I was in my last job, I had a capacity of 1,200 people. Right now, with social distancing, having the 1 meter differences, that capacity is slashed down to a mere 300-400 people. And in my current hotel, I have capacities of meeting spaces up to 120, 140. That has come down to a 40, 42, 45 people. So I think, yes, meeting and events will go, but you need to adapt. You need to have more IT, more IT facilities, like you tie up with your, and having, like we just did, you know, even though you have 10 or 20 people, if you have the IT to back it up, you could reach out to 100, 200 people. So you need to look at it technology-wise. You need to look at flexibility. You need to look at where you can still have, but again, at the end of it, it has to be reaching out to a larger market. So yes, it's going to take a while, and especially right now, even in the UK, we have not got a clear for any meeting spaces. It is still illegal to operate in any hotels. So that's a major revenue loss for us, but I'm sure it will come back. But again, when it comes back, you start being proactive right now, start to re-measure the capacities of your place. Try to really see your arrangement to see how much can you actually do compared to what it was before. And you need to be prepared, because it's all going to be last minute and say, okay, today we are not having a meeting, tomorrow we do have. So be prepared in advance. It'll have a gradual start, and I only hope this pandemic goes away. And thankfully, in India and in Hyderabad, you already have the vaccine here. So I hope that comes out and everybody is really happy. So kudos to the Indian scientists. You come up with your results, and I think that's going to be key to get people assured and come back in social meetings.
Ms. Vaishnavi Mohanty want to ask one question. Vaishnavi, you can unmute yourself and ask question. Vaishnavi. Next question is from Barnav Basu. Barnav, can you hear me? Okay. Due to the pandemic, there is a substantial dip in business and revenue generation in hotel industry. So as for food and beverage industry, what are the changes we are going to see from now on in hotel industry? This question is Mr. Barnav Basu.
It's a very valid and worrying question, but again, obviously, as I said, due to our present strategy, this is how we're going to overcome. So we have opened for we do complimentary room service. So that's where the approach is. Before you would need team members, or you need to do. So what we have is we have digital. We are using WhatsApp. The clients are looking at the menus and they are ordering digitally. We are going and reaching out to the clients, having in takeaway or nicely having them in a disposable gear, and we are serving room service. Or we take an advance booking for them and have a restaurant spaced out. So you need to be flexible. You can't charge for room service. You need to reach out in different avenues. And everybody is now good in online shopping. be it your consumables, be it your own stuff. So even eat out. You have to have that option where you can deliver, and because people will want to eat, and they're not going to stop eating. But you need to find different ways of reaching out to the clients rather than expecting the clients to reach out to you.
Mr. Rajshekhar Kanchi from Indian Culinary Institute of Tirupati, he said, first of all, he had expected his thanks to all of you. A wonderful session he has expressed, and he forward for such events in the future also. And Mr. Bano Basu has extended his valuable advice, and he's very happy with your answer. Anyone else want to ask questions, please?
Thank you, Mr. Basu.
Anyone? Want to ask? You can unmute yourself. Any participants want to ask any questions, please?
Sir, may I ask a question? This is Shreya Srivastava.
Yeah, Shreya. Yeah.
Yes, Shreya.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm very fortunate to have you here, as your experience can teach us a lot. Well, sir, I am an MBA from Travel and Tourism, and I am very interested and very keen for hospitality industry, and I want to build my career there. So what aspects shall I look forward, and what shall I be looking forward to go into hospitality industry from being a travel and tourism student?
Well, you are in the hospitality section, be it travel, be it in operations, because you are geared and you actually trained to do that. You're a people's person. So you definitely are a people's person. Well, if you look at it, it depends on where you really want to have. You need to first set a goal on which state or where you mean to work. If you say you want to explore in your own state, yes, you have that experience. You can go into digital, or you can go into working from home, or you could go into online, because you're still in travel, because there is definitely still going on. But also you should be more flexible in reaching out to see what's working in the market, because it could be like Amazon, or it could be any of them who are actually working, and they're doing much better now than they were then before the pandemic. So I'm sure if you do some deep digging, you will see the companies which are soaring high, which are busy, and try and work. It's working in the hospitality, but indirectly. So try to have an open and a flexible approach, and you need to look deep within your state and to see which companies are working, because I'm sure being in travel, you already got the expertise, you already got the education. You just have to see how those skills are transferable. And I'm sure if you look, you will find a long list of places where you could explore. But just be flexible and be open and think out of the box. Shreya.
Ms. Gomati from, she's assistant professor from Department of Botany, Salem, Tamil Nadu. She has extended her thanks to everyone for valuable presentation, and she is very happy with the presentation. So now, anyone want to ask her, or shall we wind up this session? Anyone want to ask questions, please? Do you think that institutions of tourism and hospitality in India should think in terms of slightly modifying their syllabus to enhance the skills to make them more competent in the market? This is a question from Mr. Jay Shah. Answer, sir?
I would say, yeah. I would say yes, for sure. But obviously, you need to look into where and what changes to be made. I would say change is always inevitable, and it's always should be spontaneous. So by looking at the trends, where you look at more digitalization, where you look at more on those lines, I'm sure you need to adapt. Keep it like we just went back to Anuradha's question on the menus. I think even the syllabus needs to be that. Be precise, have some key takeaway points, be more digitally accured with the students, where they can interact. Because when you have a large group of students and when you have large syllabuses, you may not have that personalized touch. And now with the digital tools, you can also reach that out. So I would say definitely look into the syllabus and have and take out the cream of it and address, because they are key takeaway points. It's not a history. It is hospitality. So we have already gained, and every day we learn new things. And I think we should adapt to the changes which work. not what used to work, but which will work and which will continue to work in the future. I think the syllabuses can be adapted and to the key takeaways because that is crucial.
Wonderful.
I have a small
yes,
question here.
Yes, Ms. Anuradha.
Yeah. Regarding the syllabus, I am from the Polytechnic, and we focus on skill developments.
Yeah, it's more approachable.
Yes, I've seen most of the universities, they offer more of theory and less of practicals, and this does not meet the industry requirement at all when they focus more on theory. And since we are established since a long time, since 1962, we've been having revamping of syllabus, and of late we are going with choice-based credit system. So our focus is morely on practicals, and we don't deviate from the basic principles. If you look, there is a fad about including too many dishes with non-coherent ingredients, you know.
Yeah.
Too many ingredients pop up into the dish, which are meaningless, and nutritionally they lose their flavor, and you can attribute so many disgusting things, I can say.
True.
To be very frank. I feel traditionally culinary principles should not be deviated. Add-ons can come later, but the hygiene has to be incorporated at every level. People should understand the meaning of hygiene and nutritive values. These are the most important things for an industry to flourish, to survive. If we give the safe food with the originality of the ingredients of the dish, I think we will flourish, come what may.
ছেলে ইরেক্ট হয়ে গেছে, মানে অনেকজন কনফারেন্সে আছে, ইরেক্ট হয়ে গেছে, ও ওইভাবেই।
Sorry.
Going back to you, Anuradha, I think you rightly said that, but you know, fortunately, you know, in India you have the cuisine, which is so vast, and it's one of the best cuisines where universally they've been really they really love, because you got so many interesting ingredients and spices. But obviously, I think so of late the combinations of them could be weird, or you know, it could be adapted. But sure, there's a health aspect to it, and as you said, if you keep it to the key and rather not over experiment and keep it to the key basics, I think you already have it all there. And yes, there is a lot to offer. In Europe, you have basically fresh ingredients, which you look at herbs, you look at basic ingredients, preparations is simple, and at the same time, it's the highest quality and it's more organic, that's where it is. Obviously, in the UK, you have a lot of supermarkets, a lot of ready-made food, a lot of stuff here in the US. But again, at the end of it, you will not enjoy. It's okay for a one day when you're lazy to cook. But again, if you have your simple ingredients and if you cook simply, and if you go to a restaurant which makes simple food, that's where you will have more demands. I think, as you said, you should keep to the basics and keep it simple. And going back to your interactive skills, I think, yes, India is known for education. And I think you have the most brightest students coming in from India. But obviously, when they might migrate or even go, they mitigate and they change their ways. I think you should not forget your roots and go back to the basics and apply that. Yes, even in my IHM, I had so much of theory. But in practicality, when I started working, it was way, way so different. But that's, again, you apply your theory to practice and common sense. And I think that's where it is nowadays. And I'm sure 25 years, 30 years ahead from my times, the syllabuses have become more interactive and they realize how to gain, because that's key. And I'll be fortunate if I had to go back to do my education at this present day than what I had 25 years ago.
I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very well done. Can we come to a conclusion? Sir, can you close this PPT so that we can give you?
Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Yeah. As usual, thanks a lot, sir. I know you since last 20 years during our college days, as well as in industry also we have seen. You are always at your best. You have done an excellent job after seeing you. So after 20 years, I have seen you. I'm very delighted and happy to have you. Really, your presentation and your question and answer session was very, very useful for all of us, and especially for our students. We are glad to have you on board, and we are looking forward for your valuable time in the near future also.
Invitation from IITTM, sir.
Thank you,
It's an
Dr.
invitation
Hassan.
from IITTM. Whenever you are coming to this side, sir, please do visit us.
I will keep that in mind. It's an honor. Thank you, Dr. Hassan. Yeah.
Now I'll hand over the case to
Thank
Mr.
you so much.
Paul. We'll give a vote of thanks. Warm good evening to all of you. Respected resource person of the day, Mr. Tony Andrew Leslie. Respected Nodal Officer, IITTM Bhubaneswar, Dr. Hussain. Coordinator of the program, Dr. Swachan. My colleagues, participants from different colleges around India and abroad, our students. I extend my sincere thanks towards Mr. Tony Andrew for such a thought-provoking session. You shared a lot of things with our students. It was really a thought-provoking session. They learned many things from this session. So on behalf of IITTM Bhubaneswar, I extend my sincere thanks towards you. And respected Nodal Officer Dr. Sabir Hussain, sir, is present over here. Sir, I thank you for your constant support to conduct such kind of programs in the campus. And other colleagues, Dr. Adisha Das, Mrs. Sarita Pradhan, Professor Lankar sir, Dr. Bishwas, and the whole technical team along with us, the project associate, Mr. Dev. I thank all of you. And of course, participants from different colleges around India, or students who were keenly listening to the presentation, I thank all of you. Thank you so much.
It's a wonderful presentation. Actually, Professor, it's a wonderful
honor.
presentation.
Thank you very much, sir.
So honor, Doctor.
Stay safe.
I wish you all the best and stay safe, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we are in it together.
Yeah, thank you.